Okay, today we're talking about lesson 91, decimal place value. So if you're on page 579, that's where the new concept begins, decimal place value. If we're thinking about money, that helps us to understand decimal place value a little bit better. Here is the decimal point. So everything on this side would be the dollars, and everything on this side would be the change, or the decimal places. So you can see that we'd have ones place, tens place, and hundreds, 3 from where my decimal is. And then on this side we have tenths, which is a dime, 1/10, hundredths, which would be a penny, 1/100th. And then if we kept going, even though we don't have any money that is smaller than a penny, if we did, that would be called a mill, which is 1,000th. So a mill is equal to 1,000th. It would take 10 mills to equal 1 penny. Okay, we're going to keep going. Example 1, which digit in 12 and 875 thousandths is in the tenths place? So here I have a place value chart. You can see thousands, hundreds, tens, and ones on this side of the decimal point. Here's my decimal, and then we have tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. So if I'm looking at this number again, here's my decimal point, and then one space over is the tenths place, which what number do we see in that tenths place? The 8. So we have 8 tenths. Example 2, which digit in the hundredths place is in the hundredths place in each of these two decimal numbers? So we're trying to get the hundredths place, which I have highlighted here. Here again is my decimal point. So I have 4 and 37 hundredths. And then I have 4 and 370 thousandths. So if I'm putting my digits into the places where they need to go, okay, I'm doing B first, I guess. Okay, so here I have 4 in the ones place, my decimal point, my 3, my 7, and my 0 all lined up as they are in this number. So what number's in the hundredths place? My 7. And then if I have A, we can see that it's 4 in the ones place, then my decimal point, and then the 3 in the tenths, and 7 in the hundredths. I just don't have this 0. But otherwise, it's exactly, everything's in the same places. So which digit's in the hundredths place in each of the two numbers? Both of them are the 7. Example 3, if you turn the page to page 580, we're comparing 23 and 25 hundredths, and then 23 and 250 thousandths. Because the 0 in the thousandths place doesn't have any value, really, there's no difference. I can put as many zeros on this side as I want to, and the money amount doesn't change. So really, these two numbers are completely equal. Okay, that 0 is nothing. It's just holding that thousandths place. So 25 hundredths is the same as 250 thousandths. Example 4, subtract 4 and 37 hundredths minus 1 and 146 thousandths. Okay, so I'm going to line up my numbers. And which of these is bigger? Well, I go by the ones place, because I'd rather have $4 than $1. Okay, and then I'm going to subtract 4 and 37 hundredths minus 1 and 146 thousandths. Okay, I have to be careful that I'm lining up my decimal points. Okay, so there's my number. But notice when I go to subtract, this looks pretty weird here. I have just a blank space. Like I said before, I can put as many zeros at the end of a decimal number as I want to. So to hold that spot so it doesn't look so weird, so when I go to take 6, I'm taking 6 from nothing, but to make it make sense to me, I'm going to put that 0 there. Okay, so now I really am taking 6 from 0. Okay, so now 6 minus 0, well, I can't do it, so I have to borrow from the neighbor. The 7 becomes a 6. And then I'm going to bring 1 over here. So now I'm taking 6 from 10. 6 from 10, I'm left with 4. 4 from 6, I'm left with 2. 3 minus 1, left with 2. Subtraction, my decimal point can just come straight down. And 4 minus 1 is 3. Okay, so remember, if you have a blank space, you can just fill it in with zeros. Okay, at the end of a decimal number, I can add as many zeros as I want to make it easier. Okay, going on to lesson practice, the bottom of page 580. Here's my decimal or my place value chart, though I can use that to help me if needed. A says which digit in 4 and 370 thousandths is in the hundredths place. So I'm going to fill in these numbers in the place value chart just so I can see what I got going on. So 4 decimal point, 3, 7, and then 0. Okay, so I can see which digit's in the hundredths place. Right here. So the digit in the hundredths place is my 7. Okay, B. Same story. Have my place value chart. Which digit in 4 and 370 thousandths is the same place as the 2 in 15 and 24 hundredths? Okay, so this time I'll do the same. I start with my 4, and then 3, 7, and 0. Okay, so I have all of those lined up in the right spots. Now I'm going to use a different color and put in 15 and 24 hundredths. But now I have my 1 in my tens place instead of starting in 1. So 1, 5, decimal point, 2, and 4. Which digit's in the same place as the 2? Okay, well, my 2 is here. Which digit's in the same place as it? The 3. So my answer to B would be 3. Okay, let's continue on to C. Name the place value of the 4 in the number 1 and 234 thousandths. So I have my 1, decimal point, 2, 34. Okay, what's the place value of that 4? Well, here's my 4. What place value is it in? Thousandths. Okay, moving on, page 581, D. Which of the two numbers are equal? Okay, so I have 12 and 34 hundredths, 12 and 340 thousandths, 1 and 234 thousandths, and 123 and 4 tenths. Okay, well, first of all, when you're comparing which numbers are equal, we can look at the whole numbers. And we can obviously tell we got a 12, a 1, and a 123. Well, this one's going to be way larger than the other two, and this one's going to be smaller than the other two. So we can get rid of those two right away. So now I'm left with 12 and 34 hundredths and 12 and 340 thousandths. Like I said before, I can add as many zeros as I want to the end of a decimal number, and it doesn't add anything of value to it. So these two are completely the same numbers. They are equal. Okay, E, compare 3 and 25 hundredths and 32 and 50 hundredths. Well, we always start with looking at the whole numbers first, so I can compare 3 and 32, and which would you rather have more of? There you go. Okay, comparing 3 and 250 thousandths to 3 and 25 hundredths. Go ahead and compare them. Which one's larger? Greater than, less than, or equal to? And these are equal to, because again, this 0 doesn't mean anything more. I can put a 0 right here and they'd be the same number. Okay, G, subtract and show your work for each of these problems. Okay, so here we go. We have 12 and 34 hundredths minus 1 and 234 thousandths. Okay, go ahead and try it. I'm going to hold this 0 here so that I know that I'm taking 4 from 0. Okay, 0 minus 4, well, I can't do that, so I have to borrow from the neighbor. This 4 now becomes a 3, and I'm bringing 10 over here. So now instead of 0, I have 10. 10 minus 4 is 6. 3 minus 3 is 0. 3 minus 2 is 1. Decimal point straight down. 2 minus 1 is 1. And then 1 minus nothing is 1. Okay, go ahead and try H. Okay, my decimal points look lined up. My tenths place, my hundredths place, except for I don't have anything in the hundredths, so I'm going to add a 0 to show that I don't have anything there. Okay, now I'm going to subtract 2 from 0. Well, I can't do that, so I'm going to borrow, and this guy becomes a 1, and I'm bringing 10 over. So 10 minus 2 is 8. 1 minus 1 is 0. Decimal point comes straight down. 1 minus 0 is still 1. Okay, we're done with lesson practice. You can go ahead and do your reteaching for this page. You don't have a new lesson to do. Reteaching is all you need, and then you can check your own answers. All right, bye.